Alright, hello everyone and welcome. I'm Tyler and I'm going to teach you some of the basics of Tekkit. If you're a complete noob and you don't know anything about Tekkit, or there are just a couple of things that you don't know that you want to know, I'm going to cover them all the way back from the basics. I'll cover the machines, the tools, the weapons, and everything else. So, okay, let's get started. When you play Tekkit, I'm just going to set it to day quickly. When you set it to day, oh, yep, I've completely lost my speech. When you get started, you are going to want to settle in vanilla style. You're going to want to build a house, you're going to want to go mining, but you also notice that there is a bunch of other new ores. So we're going to go through these. Iron in Tekkit is a priority. Get a lot of iron, and you're also going to want a lot of coal for your generator, which creates electricity, which I'll explain in a minute. This here is copper, which is used to make cables and other things. This is tin, which is used to make batteries as well as other things. This is silver. I'm not sure what this is used for at the moment. This here is uranium, which is used to power nuclear reactors. It's not dangerous when you mine it, so don't worry about that. And another mod called red power gives us other ores such as ruby, sapphire, and emerald, which can use to make tools such as very strong, like let's say a sapphire pickaxe, or you can condense them, which I'll explain later. Okay, right. So those are the ores. Now you're going to need to know a little bit about machines first. When we talk about machines, we're going to mention EU a lot, which is the electricity used in the mod Industrial Craft. It stands for electrical units, and we'll also be talking about electrical units per tick, the amount of energy that gets into your machines. Okay, so to get started, you are going to want to find some rubber. And this is very simple. You need to find one of these. This is a rubber tree. You can tell because of the leaves sticking out on top, and the dark wood texture, and the darkish leaf texture. Okay. And what you will find eventually, this orange dot will grow on the tree. This is sticky resin, but if you chop the wood down, you only get one piece. The best way to harvest sticky resin is to make a tree tap. Bear with. And to make a tree tap, I don't know why I'm doing this. This is like the worst way to do it. Tree tap. Let's see. So there's some weapons in this mod as well. Tree tap. So these are a bunch of machines that you can find in Tekkit. Did I go past it? Nope. Oh well, that failed completely. Oh well, let's try this again. As I said, you need a tree tap. You can later on make an electric tree tap, which I'll go through later. But a tree tap is made using 5 wood, any wood, in this pattern. So 3 along, 1 up here, and 1 up here. Pretty much exactly the same as the tree tap itself. So once you've got a tree tap, it doesn't last very long. Go up to the orange dot and right click with the tree tap. You get a piece of sticky resin. Once you've got the sticky resin, you can now smelt it into rubber with a normal furnace. In Tekkit, 1 piece of coal can smelt 8 items, but you'll notice we've got another furnace here, similar looking. This is an iron furnace. Now an iron furnace is slightly different. It's made either with 8 iron in a circle, which is quite wasteful, or a regular furnace and 5 iron. It's a little bit cheaper. This, with 1 piece of coal, can smelt 10 items. So it's a little more fuel resourceful, if that makes sense. So it's also, you're going to need a lot of these when you're making things such as generators. So yeah, I'd advise making quite a few of these. So once you've smelted your sticky resin, you will yield 1 piece of rubber. You're going to need a lot of rubber because you're going to need it for this stuff, which is cable, to insulate cable so that you don't get hurt. Eventually, it will get to a point where you're going to want to start making your machines. These machines in Tekkit are amazing. They change Tekkit forever. And I mean forever, because they do so much cool stuff. Okay, so what you're going to do, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to make something that looks similar to the iron furnace, but it looks slightly different. It's a generator. This is the basic thing that you're going to need in Tekkit. It generates EU. To make it, you are going to need 3 refined iron, which is made by smelting 1 iron ingot. So smelt the iron twice. 3 of them. 1 iron furnace and 1 battery. Now the battery recipe isn't shown, so I have to put it in a chest. 4 tin, 2 redstone, and 1 copper cable will make a battery with no energy in it. You can charge a battery, and it will show there's like a little red line that will form here. To make copper cable, simple. You need 6 rubber, so you're going to need a lot of rubber, and 3 copper in the middle, which gives you 6 copper cable. There's a much easier way to get rubber, which I will explain later. I'm going to set it to a day again. Okay, now that we're generating EU, oops, hello. Now that we're generating EU, if we want to generate EU, we put something in here. Let's put some wood in there. It will begin to generate EU. But that EU needs to go somewhere, and that's why we make this thing here, a bat box. Not a battery box, a bat box. Okay, and to make this thing, I don't know how you get to it, you're going to need 3 more batteries, 5 wood, and 1 piece of copper cable. Okay, so what will happen is the bat box can store 40,000 EU and will output 32 electrical units per tick. And as you can see, it's stored some energy. When this gets full, the generator will start to store energy as well. Okay, so whilst we're doing that, the generator is not the only way to create energy, as I'll go through in a minute. It's also advisory not to generate coal. Try using charcoal for the first part. Now we have our basic power generation, as well as all of our ores and stuff, and then a few iron furnaces. So now it's time to get Tekkit. Time to make our machines. Okay, so we've got a nice bunch of machines here. We've got okay, so I'll go through these, and I'll also go through other methods of power generation. You'll probably be able to tell what they are at the moment. So this first one here looks slightly different to all the others. It does not require something which I'll go through in a minute. This here is a electric furnace. Very basic. It uses EU to smelt your items. So if I wanted an example, put some copper dust. It will begin to smelt the item quite quickly at the cost of EU. As you can see, the EU is now going down. Okay, to make it, you need 2 redstone, 1 iron furnace, and 1 electronic circuit. You'll need these for all machines, so yeah, these are kind of a nuisance to make. They require 6 copper cable, 2 redstone, and 1 refined iron. That makes 1 electronic circuit. It's quite expensive, actually. Okay, so that's simple, that's smelter items. But now, we have something that's really useful in Tekkit. This, oh, that's not what, I keep doing that, I'm sorry. This here is the macerator. When you put an ore in here, it will create 2 of the dust, which you can then put in the furnace to create 1 regular ingot, as you saw earlier. So it effectively doubles the amount of ore that you get. It's particularly slow, unless you're putting it in an overclocker, which I'll explain later. And we get 2 copper dust, which we can then put in the furnace. Now this here, this is very useful later on. This is a compressor, which compresses things, of course. It compresses uranium into uranium ingots for the nuclear reactor, and it does a bunch of other stuff, which I will explain later, and it's also used to make certain stuff, like the recycler. This thing is the extractor. Now, this is what I said earlier about gaining rubber. When you put a piece of sticky resin in here, eventually, it does take some time, it will yield not 1 rubber, but 3 rubber. So, getting lots of resin from a nice rubber farm, you can get a lot of rubber for most of your cabling. So it's a very useful way of obtaining rubber. Right, so as you can see, 1 piece of rubber. Again, this accepts upgrades. This thing is an electrolyzer. I'm not quite sure how this works. It doesn't seem to want to input any energy. You can see the cables are going into the machines, but this one does not. No matter which way you put it, it seems to require energy, but it will electrolyze water cells to make certain things, which I'll go for at some point. And then there's this thing at the back